I swear, I saw something, just for a second, a shape, a shadow, standing near the dunes. And then, just like that, it was gone. The air around me felt so heavy, like something was right there watching us, but just out of sight. Mark laughed it off, said I was just imagining things. Maybe I was. Maybe the dark was messing with my head. But still, something wasn't right. I should have trusted that feeling. It was supposed to be one of those nights where you could just forget about everything. The kind of night where everything fades away. But instead, it turned into the kind of night you'd do anything to erase from your memory. Mark and I had been caught up in chaos for days. Parties, noise, random people we didn't even know. That kind of life that pulls you in, but never really satisfies. So we decided to leave it all behind. We wanted some peace, and we knew exactly where to find it. Our favorite spot by the beach. The house we were staying in was on the edge of town, far enough to feel like we were totally alone. And the beach in front of it, even more isolated. We'd been coming here for years. It wasn't just a place, it was our place. A place to forget everything for a few hours. No plans, no crowds, no distractions. Just the sea, the sand, and us. That night, we needed it more than ever. So we grabbed a couple of bottles, a joint, and made our way down the road to the farthest part of the beach. No one ever came this far. It was quiet. That kind of quiet that feels like it belongs to only you. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like the world is waiting for you to notice it. But what I didn't know was we were the ones being watched. We left our bikes in a patch of bushes and started walking toward the sand. The moonlight made everything look silver, and the breeze off the ocean felt cool on my skin. The world felt still, like the night was holding its breath. We sat down, cracked open our bottles, passed the joint back and forth, barely said a word. The waves were the only sound, the only company. For a while, it felt perfect. But then, something changed. It was subtle at first, a rustling, a noise, soft, almost like dry leaves brushing against something sharp. Quiet, but definitely there. At first, I thought I was just hearing things. I tried to ignore it, tried to drown it out with the sound of the ocean, but it got louder. Slowly, but steadily. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the waves. I couldn't place it. Mark's face twisted up like he was starting to get the same feeling. He heard it too. The rustling started coming from everywhere. It felt like it was coming from the sand itself, from the dunes. At first, we thought it was just animals, maybe a raccoon or something, but no animal moves like that. It was too deliberate, too controlled. I stood up, heart pounding, and started scanning the beach around us. The sound was all around us now, but there was nothing but the endless stretch of sand and the dark ocean. Then, the noise stopped. A suffocating silence, the kind that presses on your chest. My heart was thumping in my ears. I looked at Mark. He was staring at the empty beach, his eyes wide, his breath shallow. We didn't move. We just stood there waiting for something, hoping it would go away. But then, we heard it. A whisper, soft, so soft, but clear, like someone was right next to my ear whispering. It wasn't coming from anywhere. There was no one around, but it was there. everywhere. It wasn't just a sound, it was something you could feel. It was like the air itself was alive, suffocating. Mark took a step back. His face went white. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. I couldn't find my voice. All I could do was listen. The whisper got louder, filling the space between us. My skin crawled. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. Then, just like that, it stopped. The whispering vanished. But the air felt different, heavier, cold. The sand under my feet didn't feel right. It wasn't just the silence anymore. It was like something was there. Something was watching us. Mark finally spoke. His voice barely a whisper, but I could hear the panic in it. "Let's go." I didn't argue. We turned around, started walking, but then panic hit. We started running, not even looking back. The whisper, it followed us. Faint at first, but unmistakable. Like something was just behind us, just out of sight. We didn't stop until we reached the dirt road where we'd left our bikes. But when we got there, something froze us in place. The same eerie silence, that suffocating feeling. Mark's eyes shot to where our bikes had been, like he was expecting to see something or someone standing there. Neither of us moved. In that moment, the bikes didn't matter. We didn't need anything from that beach. All we wanted was to get back to the house, lock the door, and never talk about it again. We finally made it back. The door slammed shut behind us, and that's when it all hit us. Neither of us slept that night. The house, which had always felt like a safe place, felt cold, empty. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We both knew. The next morning, we didn't go back to the beach. We didn't even go near it. We didn't even talk about it. The bikes were still there, but they weren't the only things we'd left behind. That feeling of something watching us, of something waiting, stayed with us like a dark cloud. Neither of us ever brought it up again, but we both knew, we both felt it, and we both understood one thing. We would never, ever go back to that beach. Some things don't need to be revisited, because once you feel them, once you know they're out there, they stay with you forever. Now that you've heard it, there's no way back.